Hey guys, so we are here with Miss Annabeth's little 6-week update, her little introduction to YouTube. This is the only update I'm going to do on her. I'm not going to do like a month-to-month update for her whole first year or anything, but I wanted to wait until 6 weeks instead of 1 month because there were just a couple of things that I'll explain, but I wanted to get some answers on before I did an update. So I will start with our labor story, and I really need John for this because, whoa, that just scared me to death. Because it was like it was quite an interesting labor. It was not the same labor as my other kids. So we had a home birth with her. I'll put the video up there if you want to take a peek at it if you haven't seen it yet. So if you follow me on Instagram, then you saw me post for a few days like still pregnant. And even though I wasn't to term yet, I didn't get a chance to explain what was going on. So on March 10th, she wasn't born until March 21st, but on March 10th, that evening, I went into full-blown labor. My midwives were here. I mean, it was like a pretty long labor too compared to what I had labored in the past. It was like 6 hours or so. I was like, man, I can't believe I'm still in labor. I didn't feel like I was really progressing. It just didn't feel the same. And so my midwife doesn't typically do checks during labor, but she was checking me. She was giving me the cotton root herbs, and I got to 5 centimeters or 6 centimeters. Six, and then I just totally stopped. And they offered to break my water. But just kind of the vibe I was getting from them, and then also I was really, really tired. We just didn't really think it was going to progress much further on its own. And so they said, why don't you just lay down and get some rest and see what happens. And so we all fell asleep. My midwives were sleeping on my couches. He fell asleep, I fell asleep, and we woke up like hours later and nothing had happened. So they packed up and headed home and said, this is very common. Your body's just trying to get her ready. And so at that point I started going to the chiropractor regularly because we figured out that she was just not coming down. She would not drop. And so my body was like working so hard to get her to drop, and she just wasn't dropping. And so finally on March 20th, I went to the chiropractor, and she could just tell things were different. She could feel my hip was really out of place, and so she did, I mean, it was almost painful what she did, but I almost immediately knew things were different, and the baby did definitely drop down that day. And then she was born at 2:38 the overnight. So here is where the big John story comes in here. So he is like the little hero amongst my friends, and we talk about labor. She drooled all over you.
I know, I see it.
We talk about my labor because I did not know I was in labor. It was probably 11:45 at night, and it was a Monday night, and I just kept thinking, man, are these contractions? Are they not contractions? And I was just so afraid of calling my midwives back again that I was just like, oh no, this isn't, if I get in the bathtub and they're still consistent, then I'll call. If I lay down and they're still consistent, then I'll call. And he was just like, this really seems like labor. Like he had his little contraction. He was timing on the app and everything. And we just kind of like, are you sure you don't want to call? Are you sure you don't want to call? And I was like, well, I'm just going to lay down. Is that what
Abby and I were laying down in bed, and Abby started to get really tired. And she had been having contractions, and they were about 5 to 6 minutes apart.
But I wasn't sure that they were real, for sure. Because I had been having contractions almost every day since the 10th.
Right. And because of what happened on the 10th, she was afraid to call the midwives unless she knew for sure that she was in labor. So we both knew that there was a little bit of concern, being hesitant on whether or not we were going to call and when we were going to call.
But we had to kind of know because he had to fill up the tub, and my midwives had to get here from, you know.
Thankfully that day on the 10th, we had everything set up from the sheets on the bed, everything we needed.
Left it all set up.
So we were ready to rock when it was going to happen. So anyway, that night, she started to feel really tired, even though her contractions were like 5-6 minutes apart. So she decided to doze off. She went to sleep and she was sound asleep. Like, she was full on snoring. And every 5 minutes, she would stop snoring and she would moan like she was in labor.
But I was like knocked out asleep. So from my perspective, every few minutes I'd wake up and be like, was I having contraction? And he was like, yep. And I was surprised he was still awake, but I was like, okay. But I just figured since I was sleeping in between them that they weren't real, or I was thinking like that they were like 25 minutes apart and I was just getting woken up here and there. And I had no idea they were so close together.
Right. And I really wanted to sleep. I was super tired. But what the kicker is when I was timing her contractions, when they went from 5 minutes in between her snores to 4 minutes.
Between my snores.
To almost 3 minutes between her snores, and they were consistent and they were painful. She doesn't remember, but she was in pain, dude. In between those snores, she was moaning hard.
It was like hypnobirthing. I had no idea what was. I mean,
So,
I was like totally out her body. So
she was out, and I started filling up the tub.
And that's what woke me up. So I heard him filling up the tub, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And he was like, "I'm filling the tub. You're having contractions." And I'm like, "Yeah, but you said I was sleeping in between them." He's like, "Yeah, you are, but they're every 3 minutes." I'm like, okay, surely you got this wrong. So then he said he called the midwife. He's like, the midwife said to fill the tub. And I was like, you called the midwife? It was 2 a.m. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're gonna be that couple who cries wolf again. I can't believe this is my 4th baby and I don't even know when I'm in labor and we're calling. So I was like, I can't believe you called her without my permission. And I'm all like, oh, I'm gonna go put on pajamas, I was wearing pajamas. I'm gonna put on something decent if the midwives are coming over. And so I go to get up out of bed, and as I'm like mouthing off to him, I stand up, and the second that I hit the gravity, I stood up on the ground, and I was like, I have to push. And I just felt the baby out, like I was like ready to push that minute. So then I was like, part of me was like, oh my gosh, do I really have to push right now? And then the other part of me was like, if this is just the beginning of labor, this is going to be a long labor, because I had no idea that I was really in labor. So he called the midwife, and he's like, she said she has to push, and she said, I'm just pulling into your neighborhood, give me 5 minutes to get in. So she came flying in. I think John met her in the driveway and grabbed the oxygen tank.
Yeah, I ran outside to help her grab a few things.
They ran inside. I stood the exact same way I got up off the bed. I was like still half hunched over the bed, and I just stayed there because I was so afraid to move. And so she got in, and she was like, I just need to get the baby's heart rate. And I was like, I have to push. And she got the baby's heart rate. Then she was like, let me just check you. And she checked me, and she goes, you're complete. Get in the tub. So I was like, what? I'm what? Because I was still like half asleep. I had just gotten up to like go to the bathroom or something. I had no idea I was in labor. So I'm so grateful that he had already called her, because she was like 25 minutes away. So she thankfully was like right there at the right time.
Right.
Anyway, so I got in the tub, and on my first contraction in the tub, I pushed and my water broke. And then on my second contraction, John delivered the baby. So it was like, and she came out, and her umbilical cord was wrapped around her shoulder. And so my midwife said she came out super sassy with a little boa on her shoulder. And anyway, so that is Miss Annabeth's crazy little labor and delivery story. And then my midwives give us an hour with the baby before they even take any measurements, and we just do skin to skin for an hour. The kids came in and met her, and it was so sweet.
It was very special.
Such a sweet family moment. If you have watched that video, then it really was as precious as it looks, with Eli meeting her. It was just adorable.
And being at home was even,
it was just so peaceful.
It was so peaceful. It was so much more relaxing.
Okay, so then from there, I'll move on to my midwife asks us to have 1 week of rest minimum in bed, the whole 1 week of rest from when they're born. And what are you doing?
She wants to look around.
Anyway, and that was really hard for me, because even after Eli was born, my third, I was like making pies the day I came home from the hospital. Like I couldn't, that whole 1 week of rest was very difficult. But I'm so thankful for it because I really do feel like it helped me heal so much faster. So as you know, if you've had many babies, then those afterbirth pains just get consistently worse each time. So I definitely had some of that going on. Do you want the... And this time, this is different than the other, my other pregnancies, but I did have my placenta encapsulated, and that helped significantly with my, my postpartum mood swings. I feel like, I could feel those mood swings coming on. I would take one of those placenta pills and I would just feel almost instantly better. I mean, within 10 minutes, I felt like myself again. Would you say that my postpartum period was just so much better because of those? Did it make a difference to you as
yes.
my husband?
Even apart from what's happening right now, the other day I was thinking about that, and it's already been, how long? How old is she?
6 weeks old.
6 weeks old, and I haven't seen near as much of the emotions from postpartum than with the other babies.
I agree with you, yeah.
So.
And I think it helped my milk come in a lot faster as well. So let's see. Okay, I've got notes here on John's phone. So what we did find out at her first pediatrician appointment was her 1 week visit, because my midwives came to my house until that point, that she has a heart murmur, but it was more than just a murmur. It's actually a ventricle septal defect. Is that right? VSD, I think it's.
VSD.
So we are having to travel to Orlando on a regular basis, which is just a few hours away from where we live, and see a cardiologist there. It's actually a pretty small, she had two actually, but the one on the top has already closed. The one on the bottom is the one that they were more concerned with, but it's so small that even if it doesn't close by the time she's 1, which it usually does in most cases, the cardiologist said there would be no issues to her ability to, he's like, she could run a triathlon and she'd be fine. Okay. My 6-week visit is tomorrow, so hopefully I'll get the all clear to exercise after that, because I'm dying to get back into PIO.
And go in the pool.
And go in the pool, yeah. I want to go in the pool. My kids are going in the pool and I really want to go in the pool. Okay, speaking of the kids, so they're transitioning really, really well, wouldn't you say? I think that I'm most impressed with Jesse. I feel like he's really matured. I wasn't expecting that. He has already been a big brother, so I think I was thinking more about Eli, but I've really seen a big change in Jesse.
I really didn't consider that. I feel like I didn't consider the fact that it could have gone another way. Like that one of them could have really been thrown off.
Well, specifically Eli. I mean, he's been the baby so much longer, yeah.
But yeah, great.
Yeah. Okay, so she's a great nurser from the get-go. She's been awesome. I think she had a level 2 tongue tie when she was born. We chose not to have it snipped, and it hasn't become a problem. So she's been a great nurser. I did get mastitis. So she's my 4th baby, and she is the first one I've gotten mastitis with. And I've heard all about mastitis. I know people say it's been miserable. And I actually have experienced it now, and oh my gosh, it was like the worst thing that I've ever experienced.
It's pretty bad.
Oh my gosh, it was awful. It was horrible.
It was bad to watch.
I think I was in bed for like 4 days. It started on a Sunday, and then I think I got out of bed on a Wednesday and actually went somewhere, but it was just awful. Okay. She had a 1-month visit with the cardiologist, and she was already 10 pounds 2 ounces at that visit. We haven't had her weighed since then, but in the last 2 weeks, I'd say she's probably more than that already. She's a little chunky girl. She was 8 pounds 8 ounces when she was born, almost our largest baby, but just missed it by an ounce. She may be a little sensitive to what I eat. Sorry, my notes are a little bit scatterbrained. She might be a little bit sensitive to what I eat. I'm not sure. She went through a couple weeks where she was really spit-uppy, gassy, fussy, and I thought she might have acid reflux. I started her on probiotics. That helped a little. We elevated her, 30 minutes after she ate. That maybe helped a little bit. The gripe water didn't really do anything. The chiropractor changed everything. So we love our chiropractor. We actually ended up, Eli had colic. Our third baby had colic, and the chiropractor completely turned that 180 as well. So I think she was maybe on the verge of being considered colicky because she would just cry all day long for that little couple of weeks there. And when we took her to our chiropractor, she was really off. So we ended up having to go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then Monday again for.
And let me just comment on that and say, with Eli, I vaguely remember that going to see that chiropractor, but with her, I was skeptical. I was skeptical. I mean, it's a baby. You don't think that
Right.
babies can get misaligned, but because of the fast labor and everything that Abby had, her hips were thrown off.
And I had baby wear, and sometimes like that can really just throw them off. It's just all a matter. There's so many different things. Holding them funky, or they lay in the swing wrong. I mean, it could be a million different things that can throw a baby off. So, but even with all that fussiness, she has been a good night sleeper from the very get-go. She's been awesome. She never got her days and nights mixed up. She wakes up once or twice in the middle of the night to nurse, and she just goes right back to sleep. I had all these shows recorded that I thought I was going to get to watch, that first month, and you're just up around the clock. I didn't get a chance to watch any of them because I'm not up a lot at night. She does, however, have a witching hour, a significantly noticeable witching hour from about 7 to 9 every single night. She either has to be, it's like this little dance we do. I put her in the Moby wrap. She doesn't want to be in the Moby wrap. She doesn't want to nurse. She doesn't want to pacifier. She doesn't want the swing. But then after all that, she does want the Moby wrap. So it's like we wrap her up, take her out, and then she settles in the Moby wrap at the end of that time frame. So yeah, probiotics helped with the spitting up in the gas. She hasn't even spit up, but maybe twice in the last week since we started the probiotics and the chiropractor. And I mean, her spitting up was to the point where she had lost her voice. It was really sad.
Projectile.
A couple of times it was like projectile, and then the rest of it was like that silent reflux where she just would get fussy, and then she went hoarse from all of the acid reflux. But that's been completely gone. She loves the Moby wrap. She loves to be outside. She hates to be swaddled. And talk about throwing me for a loop, because I've never had a baby who doesn't like to be swaddled, and you just kind of look at them like, well, how am I supposed to get you to sleep at night then if you don't like to be swaddled? But thankfully, she really just enjoys being laid down, and she just likes to put her arms and legs out, and she just goes to sleep. But I was really nervous those first few days. She would just scream and scream and scream, and then once she'd pop her arm out, she'd be fine.
Yep.
So
she'd have to get her arms loose. The first few weeks.
It's so funny.
You'd swaddle her, and she'd be upset until her arms popped out.
And even if you try to swaddle her now, she'll turn purple and then just start screaming. She hates that feeling of being swaddled. So sometimes she doesn't even like the Moby wrap if she feels like that. So as long as her arms are more, up toward the top, she's okay. She is our first pacifier baby. She just has taken to it. I think I started it because of that witching hour. I would try to nurse her through it, and then she would want to nurse, but then she would get so mad when she would start getting milk. Like, she didn't want to swallow, she didn't want to drink milk, she just wanted to suck. And so I started her on a pacifier at about 4 weeks old, and she really took to it. And she's had no confusion. I mean, it's been 2 weeks that she's been using it. She's still able to nurse just fine. She still, takes the pacifier sometimes when she wants it, and she nurses when she wants it. So it's been kind of funny though, because I got pacifiers a few different times throughout my pregnancy. I think John's mom had given them to me a few times, and I'm like, why is she giving me pacifiers? We've never used pacifiers. And so a couple of times I had just given them away to other moms who I knew who were pregnant. And then when I realized that I thought that maybe she wanted to use pacifiers, I panicked because I didn't think we had any. So I went out to my car where I had a whole Goodwill pile of newborn things that we weren't going to be using, and I found one package of 2 pacifiers. And so those are the 2 pacifiers that we own right now. And yeah, she likes him so far. She loves bath time, and it's so sweet. My midwife says a lot of, she's a water baby. She was born in water, and she loves the water, but she loves bath time. It's the sweetest thing. She just like instantly melts when you put her in the bathtub. And we have that Bloomin' baby bath, so sometimes Bella will hold her in the bath and it's just a cute little sister time. But I can't remember another one of our kids loving bath time as much. Can you?
No, she's definitely very peaceful in the bath.
So calm. Let's see, where are we? She's starting to try to coo a little bit. She's starting to smile when she sees us. Up until now, you could just tell when she could recognize your face, but now she'll smile when she sees us, and it's really, really sweet. She really, really loves Bella. I think she moves her head around and looks around most often when she hears Bella's voice, and even when she hears mine. So, she hates the car seat, and that is like hilarious to me because she's number 4, and none of my other kids hated the car seat, and I never really had to go in the car very often. But now I feel like I'm going everywhere all the time, and I ended up with a baby who hates the car seat. She hates the car seat. I mean, when we go on a road trip this summer, we might have to invest in like another, like a bigger, like more cushiony car seat or something. I don't know what it is about the car seat, but she hates it. And she has like all the kids back there staring at her and talking to her and entertaining her, and she still just hates it. And I mean, like screams to the point where I'm sweating and just like a nervous wreck when I show up somewhere. If I have to make a drive, like I'm just like from listening to her scream the whole time. Okay, and then she's had a few firsts already. She's definitely had her first smiles already, her first smiles on purpose. She's had her first holiday, which was Easter, and I'll put a picture in here of her first Easter. She had her first visit to SeaWorld, which was fun. She slept the entire time, so she, had her first meeting with Shamu. And then she met a president, so it was my first, Bella's first, and her first. But we got tickets to, if you follow me on Instagram, you've already seen this, but I got tickets to go on George W. Bush's book tour. Ugh, there we go.
Look, you see that right there?
Hello, Bella. And he just made a little fuss all over her, and it was really sweet. So that's gonna be a sweet memory. Not for her, but a sweet story to tell her. Anyway, so that's her little update. And I'm sorry that it's taken me so long to get that update to you, but I wanted to have her follow up with the cardiologist, see if that hole had closed, but it hasn't. And I wanted to see if there was a way around that acid reflux, and we have gotten around that. So that is our little Miss Annabeth Violet update. If you have any questions, comment below, and I'll try to answer them in the comments, because I really don't think that I'll get around to making another baby update video anytime soon. Maybe like at 6 months or something, but I don't think there's going to be like tons and tons to update on. John has just gone back to work, by the way. Didn't get to say that. He was home with us for 5 weeks, and that was amazing. He taught school, and I just got to really bond with her and spend some time with her, so that was really, really great. So this week, this is our first week with me back at it as the homeschool teacher. So I'll try to do a day in the life here soon, now that we have 4 children. Let's see if she will. Want to say hello? Okay, not really. Not really that interested in this. Anyway, so thanks for watching, and we will talk to you later. Bye-bye. There's cheeks. Annabeth said bye-bye.
She half smiled.
Oh, did she? Did I move her? Oh, don't look at that light. Don't look at that light. There we go.